Welcome back to more ReZero Arc 4. Last time, Subaru got his ass kicked. Wait, that doesn't narrow it down. Subaru got his ass kicked by Otto. Wait, does that narrow it down? Subaru got punched in the face by Otto, and now they're working together. After they get things figured out, Subaru goes back to Roswell with some renewed motivation. And I do want to point out that this is the day after the first trial, because it's very obviously morning by this point. The door flies open. Roswell, let's make a bet, with my wish and yours on the line. I certainly did not expect to see you again in this life. This will be our last showdown. I'm going to save Sanctuary and the mansion in this loop, whatever it takes, and I'll bust up every damn one of your plans. Subaru had started to stumble there, but it looks like that loud, obnoxious, overconfident bravado is now back. It is pretty funny that all it took was a punch to the face to get his head right. In the novels, Ram is also in the room whenever he bursts in. She makes a big deal about him being rude, but he convinces Roswell to talk, so she leaves them alone. You want to start over now, when you have me in check, and leave behind the one and only power you have? Both you and I were too arrogant. This power I have isn't even that useful. My demand is simple. If I save both Sanctuary and the mansion, you will throw that book away and come with me. I'm going to make Amelia the new ruler, and I need your help to do it. Don't be ridiculous. Do you think you would forgive what I... If this were about forgiving you, there's no way in hell I'd ever do that. But that's for my own heart to worry about. Nothing deadly has happened yet. This is 100% just how he sees everything. It doesn't matter what people do to him in the failed loops. He'll forgive them and move on as if nothing happened. And that is not going to change. You expect to fulfill your desire without letting go of anything? Not only that, but you say my involvement is necessary and insist on including me in the foundation for the future. You are aware, are you not, Subaru, of the sheer greed of that solution? Hearing a similar phrase that he heard from Echidna, Subaru smiles. No matter how you fight it, you cannot break through this. Yeah? Should make the sight of you crying all the better. I see. It isn't bad to lay some groundwork for the next me. Subaru is actually the one that brought that up in the novels. He uses a similar line when convincing Roswell to talk to him when Ram was still in the room. Kind of like a code word to Roswell so that he's not talking about the loops in front of Ram. Speaking of, the novels go over a few things that aren't covered in the anime. This conversation is more about Subaru getting help versus not getting help. Like it's stated in both novels that Subaru thinks that he can solve all of the problems as long as he gets help. And of course, Roswell thinks that that mentality makes him weak and that he's still going to fail. Roswell also brings up the fact that a bet doesn't mean a whole lot to Subaru, especially when he can just loop and then not bring up the fact that he lost the bet. Subaru refutes this by just saying that he won't. With a lot more force than that, obviously. And Subaru basically says that if Roswell's not going to believe him, then there's no reason for them to talk at all about this. Roswell kind of hesitates, but he does eventually give in, which is baffling to me. So can I take that to mean you agree to the bet? Roswell's scowl turns into a smile. Subaru, the snow in the sanctuary and the attack on the mansion begin in 3 days. Do try your hardest to fight it, and fail miserably. Put the clown makeup back on, okay? You're throwing me off my stride. As two clowns at the mercy of fate, let's fight this out fair and square. I am really surprised that Roswell took this bet. Subaru doesn't really lose anything if he doesn't win. I mean, not anything more than what he was already going to lose. I know Roswell is thinking that Subaru will keep his word, or at the very least, he'll be demoralized if he loses. But he doesn't add anything else. Doesn't try to change anything about the deal, at least not in the anime and the light novel. I don't know, it just seems too passive for him. In the web novel, the conditions for the bet are that Subaru has to get Garfield on his side and Amelia has to be the one to beat the trial. There is absolutely nothing said about the mansion, at least as far as the bet conditions go. And that bet is put into a contract on their souls. Roswell thinks that that contract will remain even with Subaru's ability to loop. I don't think he knows that for sure or anything, but he's just hoping that it works so that the next him can use it. Roswell says there are 5 days until the big events kick off. So the web novel timeline is different. And as per usual, I will not be keeping up with it. Also, I feel like I need to say good job to Subaru for the shit talk. I didn't include all of it in here, and it's definitely more of a anime thing rather than in the novels, but I'm glad they added it. How goes the conspiracy you're plotting with your friend? In the light novel, she sort of admits to using her clairvoyance to spy on their conversation. I don't think she heard anything, though. Her power is more sight based. And this conversation doesn't happen right now in the web novel, it happens later on. I'll point it out when it shows up. What about you? Have you accepted what Roswell's doing? There's only one thing I value above all else. There's no way that will ever change. Never. Never say never. It's more clear in the light novel, but Subaru is thinking about Rem whenever he says that. Ram obviously isn't thinking that, and she thinks that Subaru is saying that she isn't loyal to Roswell, which I think is like the exact words in the book. But she is a lot less angry in the anime. You're putting your hopes in Amelia? On the previous note, this is Ram being passive aggressive because they both know that the way it looks, Amelia is not going to be able to pass the trial. Yes, and I believe in her. Amelia hasn't figured out why she's still struggling. Until she does, the same thing will just keep happening. We've already strayed from what's written in the book. Roswell is free now. The door shuts in his face. She actually gave me advice. Does she like me too? If she hears you, she'll be furious. This kind of makes it seem like Subaru understands Ram pretty well. I don't think I caught that the first time that I watched it. It's not brought up until later on, so I don't want to talk about too much details about it. But the book does have something to do with her plans going forward. She didn't bring it up here at all. Subaru is the one to just randomly throw out this information that helped her. And it could just be a coincidence, but it does kind of seem like Subaru at least somewhat understands what she is trying to do. Or I am just reading way too much into it. The web novel skips over the conversation with Ram because it happens later, and it just goes straight to talking with Otto. And they're having the conversation while eating breakfast. Not that it's important at all, but I'm pointing it out anyway. Since Ram is working with the Margrave, doesn't that make you enemies? That's why Otto was hiding. He could have just hung out by the door with Ram, but he kind of figured that she would side with Roswell in all this, so he didn't want to deal with all that. Ram's my enemy? Well, now I see how deeply you trust Ram. What happened with the Margrave himself? Everything's set. The bet is officially on. Good to hear. Of course, I don't think he's ever lost at anything before, so I had no doubt he would agree. Next is Garfield. But first, can I check into one thing? Alright, I'll continue with my part of the plan as discussed. And as for Amelia, that's one thing I can't rely on your help with. I haven't even scratched the surface of what's hurting her. I guess I was just scared after all. That's for sure. So are you prepared to scratch the surface of what's hurting her? Well, I'm prepared to ask her if I can. Unlike Garfield, I don't have to worry about dying. I'm not sure if I should laugh at that or not. Anyway, I guess you're one to take bets that are stacked against you, huh? I suppose so. but taking bets without even considering my odds of winning, that's a first for me. Otto seems like a terrible gambler. He took a risk that got him into extreme debt, which caused him to overreact and rush to the village in the last arc, which got him captured by the cult. He just has shit luck. Anyway, they each have their plans. Subaru is dealing with Amelia and Garfield. It's not stated, but I think Otto is also dealing with Garfield, but they leave what he is doing very, very vague. So I'm just kind of guessing using future knowledge here. Subaru goes back to the big crystal. I thought I'd find you here, Ryuzu. You talk like someone who already knows me remarkably well. I'd say you're right. I know just about everything. I even know what your goal is here. Then I suppose the one young Ross was waiting for was you. Yeah, sorry, that whole thing's been called off. Huh? Anyway, I'm in the middle of a huge face-off with Roswell now. I want it to end in a result that's good for everyone, which is why I want your help. Why not use your authority as an apostle to demand my assistance? I don't want to rely on that kind of authority. I came here to talk to you. In the web novel, he doesn't have the authority, so he can't. The other versions seem to change it to him trying to be a better person. But then she admits that she can't lie, like in general, so it doesn't really matter for this conversation. In the novels, Subaru asks about Roswell's gospel, and all that she really knows is that he inherited it from the witch and that it probably says something about what to do with Sanctuary. For the sake of greeting the awaited one, or something like that. Which, at first glance, seems like it would be Subaru, but this is Echidna, so I don't want to assume it's that simple. In the web novel, he starts to make threats. Kind of. She says that she knows about the book, and Subaru jumps to thinking that she knows about everything that's happening, which pisses him off. And the light novel has him a little more calm. He does ask first before he flips out, and she explains that she doesn't know much, so he relaxes. In the light novel, he says that if Ryuzu turned out to be evil, he would have used his authority to make her kill herself. In a joking but not joking kind of way. Maybe he's not actually calmer in the light novel. What is it you're arguing over? In simple terms, I guess I'd say a way to liberate the sanctuary. I know you're opposed to liberating it, though. I am opposed to liberating the sanctuary? Huh? Wait, you're not? This was the entire reason that he came here. He thought that Ryuzu and Garfield were on team keep Sanctuary secluded. So he thought that if he could convince Ryuzu to switch sides, then she would end up pulling Garfield over with her. Thus, dealing with the Garfield problem without ever having to confront him face to face. At least that's the way that it's explained in the light novel. I unfortunately can't say that I came up with that on my own. So the whole opposition party was just made up. Probably by fucking Roswell. In the web novel, Garfield is the one to bring it up. And in the other versions, it's Ram. But it's still probably just Roswell getting them to trick Subaru so that he has even more distractions going on over everything else that's happening. I'm just going to go ahead and remove the opposition party from the list here. And actually, now that I think about it, I'm just going to replace them with Roswell. He's enough of a problem during all this that I think he deserves to be on this list. What's your opinion of young Gar? I think there's no avoiding a clash with him, but whether or not we can be friends once all this is over has yet to be seen. And to help me make that decision, I want to know more about him. You are quite skilled at deceiving the elderly, young Sue. This was actually a really good fucking move from Subaru. I don't think I appreciated it very much the first time that I watched it, but he is able to use her relationship with Garfield to get her to want to help him. To be clear, he's not doing anything to trick her. These are his actual thoughts on the matter. They just really help him out in this situation. You asked the witch about me, did you not? To this day, I protect and supervise the crystal that creates the copies. The four of us alternate in bearing the role of supervisor. I did hear about the first four. Wait. My name is Subaru Natsuki. What's your name, Ryuzu? My name is Ryuzu Arma. There we go, adding her to the list. Subaru is finally connecting the dots here. This is the first time in the anime and the light novel that he's realized the four originals are in charge. It's already been discussed in the web novel, and I feel like he probably should have made the connection sooner, but it's Subaru. She then explains their limitations in basically being like a spirit, in that they only have the energy to last like a day at a time. And we learned about it the last time that they talked, so I'm gonna skip over it here. In fact, this whole conversation is different in the web novel. He already knows about the four originals, so that part of the conversation is skipped, and there's no sentimental part that involves Garfield. They do talk about him though. Subaru concludes that normally he probably wouldn't be this against bringing the barrier down, and that there's probably someone who's pushing him to be more angry. I've already given my opinion on who I think that is, but web novel Subaru is going to explore a few options. However, one of the first four, Ryuzu Shima, is an exception. About 10 years ago, she caused a problem. She was removed from the role of supervisor and now lives in the forest with the other copies. That was the one that met Subaru out in the woods, and then Garfield choked him out. She's the only one that wears white clothes. The only one of the four originals that wears the white clothes. That's because she's no longer in charge of anything. What problem did she cause? She violated the contract with the witch who created us by entering the graveyard to bring back young Gar when he broke the rules to attempt the trial and did not return. There's a lot of inconsistencies with this. In some versions, they act like it's okay for the residents to take the trial, they just can't free Sanctuary. But in the anime here, it seems like they're not even supposed to take the trial at all. My guess is that this started out more flexible, and then Topei realized that he couldn't just let anybody come take the trial, so he started adding restrictions. Interestingly, the web novel doesn't have Shima. I mean, she is still there, but she's not an outcast. Like, all four of the originals are still doing the same job. In fact, two of the four originals have gone into the graveyard. So it kind of feels like this whole idea with the clones was kind of a work in progress during the early stages. Web novel Subaru thinks it could be one or both of the Ryuzus that went into the graveyard that are causing Garfield to get so worked up. So he wants to talk to at least one of them. And the Ryuzu that's there now says that he'll have to wait 2 days. Are you aware of young Gar's family situation? Wait, did the past that Garfield saw involve the time Frederica left? It's a fair guess, but the light novel explains that Frederica left after Garfield took the trial. And we know that the first trial is always the past, so that couldn't have been it. No, what he saw was most likely the moment when young Gar and Fred were left behind by their mother when she left the sanctuary. So the reason he's against liberating the sanctuary is out of bitterness towards his mother for abandoning him and choosing the outside? The boy refers to himself as Garfield Tinsel. That is his mother's family name. I believe he goes by that name so that he won't forget her. Alright, we already knew that Garfield took the trial at some point, so a lot of this information isn't super surprising. But now we know a person who could know more about what Garfield saw during his trial. Garfield's backstory doesn't completely add up just yet, but now Subaru has someone to talk to about putting all of those pieces together. It just doesn't happen right now. So we'll have to wait on that conversation. Subaru visits Amelia's room to find it empty. Looking around, he spots movement on the far side of the bed. What are you doing down there, Amelia? Um, I'm a restless sleeper. I'm sorry, I lied. The truth is, I couldn't get to sleep. But don't worry, I'll be sure to get plenty of sleep by tonight. It's almost noon, though. You're talking about sleeping until nightfall? That's very slothful of you, Amelia. Yeah, the way you said that, it just gives me a really weird feeling. What the fuck? Why is he copying sloth? I'm including this in here because I don't know if this ever comes back up. I don't think little shit like this is ever a sign of something deeper, but just in case, I figured I'll go ahead and throw this in here so I can point back to it. In the web novel, Amelia is sleeping whenever Subaru gets there. She fell asleep on the floor and is having a nightmare. We get a little bit of that nightmare, but it's confusing. I'm not going to go into too much detail about it. She's a kid. She's running through the snow towards a big tree. She starts digging in the snow and then gets attacked by people that she knows. Well, although I don't think that part is in the dream. That may be in a later part of the dream. But that's the gist of what she sees. Subaru helps her up. Amelia, do you feel up to telling me what you saw during the trial? I won't claim that talking about it will make you feel better, but if you tell me, we can worry about it together. The past I saw was a memory from before I went to sleep, I think. I never told you that I was frozen in ice for a long time, did I? Until Puck found me and got me out, I had been sleeping within ice for a long, long time. Since I was 6 or 7 years old, maybe? In the light novel, Subaru makes the connection back to things he heard during the last arc, during the selection meeting. How she was called the Freezing Witch. The novels go more into her timeline. She says that the forest was frozen about 100 years ago whenever she first woke up, and it's been about 6 or 7 years since then, which means she is probably around 114 years old. Because she's a half elf, her body is probably closer to an 18-year-old human. But because she was frozen for so long, mentally she's probably around 14, which is something that it is a problem that will need to be talked about later. We all lived in the forest together before it was frozen, I think. You think? I don't remember much from before that happened. What about your family? My family wasn't in the forest, but there was someone who was like a mother to me. In the light novel, she points out that the person that she called mother had similar eyes to Subaru, which probably plays a little bit of the part in her starting to like him. Wait, why? My mother? Shock hits her and stops her from speaking further. Calm down, take it slow. He pulls her in and puts her head by his chest so that she can listen to his heartbeat. It's the same thing that she did for him in the last arc whenever he was freaking out. At least in the novels. And now that I'm saying all this, I'm realizing that I don't think that I mentioned that in the last video. What happened to all of them? The same as me. I lived in the forest, waiting with Puck for all of them to wake up. But that day never came, so I left the forest and joined in the royal selection. What does the forest have to do with the selection? Roswell promised me. If you succeed in taking the throne, perhaps I can thaw the ice that encases this forest. This kind of pisses Subaru off a little bit, because he knows that Roswell took advantage of her ignorance of the world, but he is trying to move past it. Also, the novels make it seem like he never promised to help with the frozen forest. He says that if she gets the throne, then she'll be able to accomplish her goal, but he never says that he personally would help out with the forest at all. Do you think less of me? There's nothing bad about wanting to save the people you care about. Yeah, thank you. So much. She falls asleep while resting on his shoulder. Finally, some backstory with Amelia, and we'll learn more of this by the end of the arc, so this was kind of just a little bit of a teaser. So, in the web novel, she doesn't freak out. She does remember the villagers from before they were frozen, and they were calling her things like witch child, seed of disaster, life best unborn, unforgivable soul, font of hatred. Yeah, these were the people that she says that she lived with before and were nice to her up until this point. Subaru thinks that this might be what's causing her to fail the trial, but Amelia is just like Subaru. She's completely okay with forgiving people and trying to help them regardless of what they have done to her. So that's not the issue. Neither of them can really figure out what the problem is, and she can't remember everything. At this point, the web novel lines up with the other versions. Well, it lines up well enough. Since the trial problem is probably something that she can't remember, Subaru thinks that Puck will be able to help in this situation, but Puck's not coming out at the moment. So Subaru decides to try something extremely stupid. He starts to put his hands around Amelia's neck like he is going to choke her. But if Puck is actually watching, he would know that he's not going to do it. So why would Puck come out in this instance? I don't know. Again, it's a stupid idea. In the web novel, it's explained that Puck can come out now because he is so close to Amelia. Not like physically, but their bond is close enough, like in Persona. And I'm considering that to be the canon answer because it's the only one that makes sense. Ice appears on Subaru's fingers, spreading up to his hands. You didn't have to go that far, did you? Oh, I don't know. Your love seems like the needy type, so I'm a little scared to let you stay beside Leah. It was good for you to call me, though. That made me happy, Subaru. There's a few lines in the light novel that I want to quote. And your love runs deep, Subaru. How did you know about my daycare teacher's reply to the love letter I wrote her in kindergarten? It it adds nothing to the story, but it is funny. In the anime and the light novel, that's pretty much all we get of this conversation. In the web novel, we get a good amount of it. Amelia's memories about the villagers are fake. It is easier for her to think that the villagers hate her rather than what actually happened. We don't get that information just yet, but Puck says that if he were out, then she would be forced to remember what actually happened. So she is subconsciously stopping him from manifesting. That's the real issue here. She wants him to manifest so that he can be there for her, but deep down, she knows that she'll have to deal with the truth if he is there. So there's a disconnect between where her conscious mind is and her subconscious mind. And that leads to a possible solution. Puck and Subaru do talk about it, but I'm going to wait because the anime and the light novel talk about it like right now. But first, Subaru asks Puck for a favor, and we'll see what that favor is much later. Amelia wakes up suddenly, wiping away tears. Did you have another scary dream? Puck, thank goodness. Where have you been? Don't disappear like that again. Do I look smaller than usual? I guess my limit came up faster than I thought. Of course, I was consciously trying to break our contract, so I guess it makes sense that I'd lose my greatest strength as a spirit. Break our contract? What are you saying? I couldn't tell you, only for my own personal reasons, and because of your own problems. But from now on. No. What? Wait, please. The crystal that is Puck's anchor starts to crack. Puck begins to fade. I'm sorry, Leah. I wish I could explain everything, but there's no time. As much as it pains me, I'm entrusting you to the one whose love for you is second only to mine. There's no one who. Leah, I am really sorry this turned out so one-sided. Once I'm gone, the seal on your memories will be lifted. Remembering them will probably make you very sad. Amelia, I love you so, so much. I love you more than anything in the world. Puck's body shatters. Amelia falls unconscious. This conversation doesn't happen in the web novel. Amelia is trying to think through everything that's happening, and that's when she notices that the crystal is broken. Puck never says anything to her about breaking the contract. All of that is discussed with Subaru. I'm not a huge fan of that. Like the entire purpose is to get her to fully realize that Puck is not there anymore, and it just seems like having Puck tell her that himself is the better move. So I'm kind of glad that they changed that. In the novels, she doesn't fall asleep. Puck is gone and she spends hours just out of it while crying, or more, wailing until she falls asleep. And this is when Subaru and Ram talk. The conversation is a little bit different because it happens after the contract breaks, but it's close enough. The biggest difference is that Subaru says he is okay with Amelia expecting things from him, and vice versa, mutually manipulating each other. That's not how it's phrased. And to me, that is something that's going to hit Ram and cause her to think about what she is going to do in the future. And with Amelia going through a mind break, that is probably not how I want to phrase that. She is a wreck. Next time we will see if she and Subaru can put it all back together. See ya.